Hi, everyone. It's good to have you again on the show. Thanks for joining us. We appreciate all the time how you take our time to join us every Tuesdays and Saturdays on the program Shagalenko TV. And I like to also say that if you want to be part of the program, all you need to do is just like our YouTube page, subscribe, also like our Facebook page. It's Shagalenko TV, and then every time we come up here you get a notification and then you join us. For those who want to also contribute to the topic of discussion, the comment section is just right there below. Drop your comments and what you think about the topic of discussion, and then we'll read it as the program progresses. For today, we're looking at violence against women and children. We've noticed that there's been a spike, there's been increased rise in gender-based violence, not just for women and men also, because we have had reports too that men also get violated. The pandemic has also not helped the issues, so everyone is at home or was at home now that there's ease of lockdown. So the pandemic hadn't helped to lockdown was there, people were at home, and then we saw a lot of molestation of children, child abuse and all that. And that's why we decided today to talk with our special guest, who's also a medical practitioner, and he'll be throwing more light on issues surrounding child abuse, violence against women, and if time permits, we'll be looking a little on trauma, what some of these victims go through, because the truth is sometimes we get carried away by the paparazzi that the media brings in terms of victims, reportage, and all that, and people don't remember to also think about the mental health of these victims. You know, a child who's just been molested or raped, or a woman who's just been beaten or sent out of her home. People are not looking at the medical aspect, the mental implications of all of this, and we just do more of all about the paparazzi and all that. Anyway, I have my guest here, Dr. Sifine Okorochukwu. He'll be throwing more light about issues, and we'll be having a conversation going on how we can stop child abuse and then violence against women. So let me have him here as I talk with him. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
It's good to have you, sir.
It's my pleasure. I'm so much delighted to be here.
Yeah, at some point when we couldn't get you on a few minutes to the show, my heart was just racing, because I know when it comes to medical practitioners, you guys are like you are like the living water, so to say. Everyone wants to have a taste of you and all that. So we really appreciate, and I must say on behalf of Shagalinko TV, thank you for finding time to join us, even when a few minutes beforehand you had an emergency you had to go attend to. But here you are now. Please quickly tell us who Dr. Sifine Okorochukwu is, what you do, and then we'll go on to talk about what we have on ground.
Yeah, Dr. Stefano Okorochukwu is a medical doctor practicing here in Nigeria. I am the CEO, Chief Executive Officer of Center for Public Health, whose initiative is Child Abuse and Child and Adult Abuse Protection Network. This network of organizations working against child and adult abuse. Currently, I'm in the board of Global NGO Executive Committee in the United Nations, and we have intervened in a lot of cases to make sure we prevent ongoing child abuse, rehabilitate the people who have been abused, and make sure that such things are not recurring again. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Let me start by the basics. It's a good thing that you are into the medical field, but let's even look at a whole lot that COVID-19 has brought mental health wise. You know, women are depressed, men are depressed, children are depressed. Everyone was at home at some point, and it was looking like everyone was going to lose their minds. You know, how would you say for you was the peak of it all? You know, were you worried not just about the pandemic itself, but how people will turn out to go through the lockdown period as well?
Yeah, during this period in particular, as we are battling to contain the pandemic, that's the COVID-19. A lot of collateral damages were going on, what we call the pandemic in pandemic. There were a rise in the cases of gender-based violence, child abuse, so many social problems. So it was quite unfortunate that we have to battle this thing within the pandemic. And it was quite traumatizing because most times, because of the lockdown, the victims will not have access to the protective institutions of the state. So that's why CAPN has to come in to make sure that we're on top of the situation.
Okay, so let's start with the basics now. I like the fact that you talked about the rise of child abuse, and then we also saw cases where it was incest. So siblings were just having sexual intercourse with their siblings by virtue of so much happening. So just take us through, and our viewers, what child abuse is, because some people might even be victims of child abuse and may not know. Some people might just be perpetrators of child abuse and still may not know. So in a nutshell, what do you think child abuse is, sir?
Thank you so much. What happens is that people have been hearing about child abuse, child abuse, child abuse, but only few knows what child abuse is all about. Unfortunately, people thought that child abuse is only physical injuries. No, physical injuries is the ones we can see. We have emotional abuse. This is very dangerous. This is the one we cannot see, and this is the one the victim cannot even communicate the level of trauma. This is the one the victim passes through that can lead to suicidal tendencies. Most times, people pass on, even people that have been abused before, pass on this emotional abuse without knowing that they're abusing the person they're coming in contact with. What am I talking about? When you deny a child what he or she is supposed to get without full explanation, is an abuse.
Yeah.
When a child is wearing an improper clothing, is an abuse. The child will understand, why am I wearing this type of clothes? Why are my clothes torn? Is it that my mother could not afford it? It must see it as a punishment. And the child cannot communicate, but they tend to harbor all these feelings. So most times when people passing through the emotional abuse, the society is not aware. And they are quite angry that they are passing through much this type of emotional pains and nobody is taking notice. In a nutshell, I would like to highlight what are the abuses we can talk about. We have the physical abuse for a child, we have the sexual abuse, we have emotional abuse, and we have abandonment. Let's start with the physical abuse. In African setting, we have been used to beating a child, but when you beat a child in an inappropriate way, that's not commensurate with the age of the child. Assuming you want to discipline a 5-year-old child, a little mild spanking might be accepted. But when you go ahead to give a 5-year-old child 12 strokes of cane, it's no longer discipline. It's an abuse. It's a result of physical injury. When you hit a child appropriately, considering the weight of the adult in inappropriate place, maybe you slapped a 5-year-old child to an extent, it left a mark. Even the act of slapping is an abuse. You push a child to fall is an abuse. Or you throw a child away is an abuse. So what we are talking about is that physical contact should be minimal enough not to cause pain to that child, not to cause severe pain to that child, not to cause inappropriate wound or injury on the child. For instance, you see some people, their house girl will do one or the other, they'll go and grind pepper and put in
Eyes or the private parts.
the private part of the reproductive organ of that child or the eyes. It is dangerous. It's an abuse. This one is not discipline, but wickedness. It's callousness. You use a nail to nail inside a child's skull. What are you trying to do? You are trying to, like the one who have that happened in Kaduna or somewhere. A madam has to do that to the child. It's an abuse. You hit the child with an iron. Why would you hit somebody child with an iron? Because most of these house girls or house helps are the vulnerable group that from the poor homes. Most of them are from the IDP camps. People are just trafficking them as a house girls, and they'll go and meet a condition they did never bargain for. So these are physical abuse in a nutshell. Then let's come to sexual abuse. What can you say is a sexual abuse? It's not only when somebody touches the penis or the vagina of a child inappropriately is an abuse. That one is an abuse. But when an adult exposes his or genital part to a child, it is an abuse. When an adult, for instance, shows inappropriate video or film to a child that contains some sexual act, is an abuse. When an adult unnecessarily fondles a child, is an abuse. Or talks to a child about sexual acts, is a sexual abuse. And which people are vulnerable to this? These are mainly children. And who are the perpetrators? There are many common relations who are known to the family, who are close to the family. We have seen siblings involving in sex, another sibling and the younger one. We have seen the father to his daughter. There are rising cases of this every day. So these are sexual abuse. And when you, most times you see all these people that come and when you start calling a child, a little girl, my wife,
My wife, yeah.
it's totally wrong. I discourage it. You see a small child, what are you calling the child my wife for? It's not a wife, it's a baby. Do you understand the point? Or you see an adult telling a child, come and sit on my laps. Most times they get erection and say rubbing their penis on these children. It is an abuse. I discourage and I advise any parents never allow any of their daughter or their son to see it on anybody's lap. A lot of things are happening. A lot of stories are coming up. So these are purely abuse. Then let's take on emotional abuse. Emotional abuse is when you start taunting a child that is living with you or not living with you, how you are going to deal with him or her, how you're going to beat him up, try to frighten the child, is emotional abuse. Or telling the child you don't deserve this, you don't deserve food, or start comparing them with people who are doing well. You are inducing a big trauma on that child. You don't need to compare your child with anybody. Praise the child. Stop labeling theory. When you say the child that you are an idiot, that child before you know it will start behaving like an idiot. You tell a child you're a fool, you are never do well, you are dumb, you are this and that, calling all sorts of names. Thunder fire you there, this happens. It's traumatic. It has an effect on that child because the word has a power. Whatever implanted on child, the child is okay. Since I'm an idiot, there's nothing I will do that will impress these people. Let me start behaving like what? It goes through that trauma. It goes through depression. So these are the areas I want people to look at. Mind what you tell a child. Instead of bringing the child down, why not inspire that child by raising the hope of that child? Let them stop touching on the esteem of the children. They're very intelligent. They understand. They might say, oh, my dad doesn't like me. My mom doesn't like me. This uncle hates me. This person hates me. It makes that child to be withdrawn from circulation. It makes that child not to compete because he starts believing that he's an idiot. He starts believing that he's nobody. He goes to school, he's not putting effort to learn, he starts dropping in grades. These are the signs that something is happening, that the child is withdrawing. He doesn't mix up with the mates anymore because he feels that everybody is better than him or her. It's emotional stress. It's emotional trauma. Can lead to depression. You see cases of suicide rising in the community. These are the people suffering all along without knowing what is happening. A child is supposed to eat, you deny the child that food, it's emotional abuse. He's supposed to be in school, you don't want to put the child in school, it's emotional abuse. So we really have to watch out all these things. And in effect, there's this abandonment. Some children are abandoned by their parents. Not that they might be physically present, but the children doesn't feel their
The
presence.
bond is not there.
It's not there. Early in the morning, you jump out of, you are going to work, you are going to your business. By the time you come back, the children are sleeping. You have never told them anything, no bedtime story, no question and answer, no encouragement. You don't even care about their homework. You don't even care about their personal hygiene. You can see at times the boy will wear the female pants, the female will wear the boy's pants. Nobody cares. Their uniforms are torn, their sandals are discarded. This is a pure abandonment. It happens in a family, even more so in well-to-do families. That's why the children takes to drugs for happiness. That's why they takes to a lot sorts of things to do to keep sanity, to be happy, because the parents are not there. The parents have abandoned that child. It's an abuse. Your child is going to school, the result comes out, you don't know the grade he has made or she, no encouragement, no reward. Maybe a child that
No
came first,
motivation. Yeah.
no motivation. The child is on his own, except only the friends say, ah, you did well. He is waiting for the parents to say, oh, you did very well. Based on this, I'm going to buy you this. The child comes back with the homework. Whether he or she does the homework, nobody cares. He's go back to the school, the teacher will start abusing the child. You are a fool. You are lazy. You are this. The child accepts it. It's okay. Since I'm lazy, why do I bother myself? Everybody, even at home, I'm lazy. In school, I'm lazy. Why do I bother myself?
True.
Get the point. So, what I encourage the parents is that be closer to your children. The society problem we are facing today is that people are making mistakes that we are going to change the society. If you cannot change the family setting, you cannot change the society. Family is the last unit of the society. And if we can get it right in the family level, we can get it right in the society. Because most of these people abusing children or adults have grown up in an environment where it's normal to abuse people, where it is normal to abuse a child, where rape is seen as nothing, where gender-based violence is a tradition. So he or she grows up with that. So they don't
becomes a norm.
It becomes a norm. But if we can train our children, male and female, that this is wrong, start being part of them, and they see it practiced, they will not practice when they become an adult.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much. In case you just joined, the program is Shagalinko TV. Today is the Tuesday's edition of the program. We'll encourage you all, if you have something to contribute to talk about child abuse and violence against women, please use our comment section here. Drop your questions for our guest, Dr. Sifine Okorochukwu, and he'll be answering them as the program progresses, and then we'll be reading the messages as well. So just keep your comments coming. We'll be looking at them as we go on. Okay. Doctor's gone. Okay, he's back. Yeah, thank you, Doctor. I like how you've set the pace for child abuse and all that. So let's even talk about the mental health of these children before we even go on to talk about violence against women. I know violence against women is another pot of fish on its own, but then let's even, what goes on in the minds of children? Because you said something that children know, children observe, children know what it is. So when parents or guardian or people around are not finding a way to draw close to them, they also know all this and they feel abandoned. I'm learning a new definition of abandonment, because some people only talk about abandonment when there is a divorce in a marriage, or um, couples have to go their separate ways, and then maybe the father leaves the kids or the mother leaves the kids and all that. People are not also looking at it from that angle you brought it, that the parents, both parents could be there, but they're really not impacting in the lives of their children because they're never there to share homeworks or do just even sit around the family table, eat, crack jokes, and all that. And little wonder children get peer pressured and then begin to do vices, going to drugs, going to becoming wayward and all that. So let's even quickly look at the mental state of children before we go on to talk about violence against women. What is usually the mental state of children, and how can parents or guardians or teachers too begin to see very few telltale signs that they can just look out and know that something is wrong with this child and then begin to call for attention?
Yeah, thank you so much. What are the flags? Uh, when a child, most of the teachers, like when we go for the school programs, as the teachers, the students who were doing well before and who suddenly stopped doing well. You see somebody who used to come on the first
First position.
first 3 or 5 positions, suddenly you start dropping to the second 10, that something is wrong. You have to ask why. Because when you find out that most of them, if they started going through this abuse, physical, emotional, sex, and abandonment, their self-esteem will drop. And when their self-esteem drops, they start to withdraw from their normal activities. What gives them joy might not give them joy again. You see a child who likes reading will stop reading. You see a child start talking about adult issues. You see a child behaving like an adult, more interested in her bodies and other things. So this one happens mainly in the emotional abuse. For the physical abuse, you can see the sign of injuries on the body, marks of beating, injuries that are inappropriate. There's some cuts you see in a child's body. You inquire, where is it coming from?
Yeah.
You see burns from hot irons. These are pure signs of abuse. And moreover, most of them that be sexually abused, because they've done it several times, you see a child of 10, 11 getting attracted to a male that is quite advanced or
Older. Yeah.
older than she. And you find out that there's problem or looking for a company in older males. You know, something has been happening. When you inquire further on building a confidence, the child can open up and tell you what is happening. Then the mental state, most of them, as I told you, start dropping in school. Their personal hygiene will drop, and some of them will start bedwetting because of psychological trauma of containing their thinking and reasoning. And most time in the whole front, they tend to be violent. Like most of the people they arrest when they come to the hospital for these social issues. When you inquire further, you find out that there was a breakdown in the bonding in the parents. Most of them are from single mothers, broken homes, divorced families, people who are separated. You find out the children, the children be looking for another family outside the family. Another family outside the family. And when you say a child start looking for a love outside the family, it can easily fall into the hands of drug addicts. You know, drug addicts, they love themselves very much. They share. Even they have,
Yeah.
if they have one wrap of cannabis, 10 people will participate in taking it. If they have a plate of rice, 10 people will share it. They love themselves the most. So they give them that false sense of love, false sense of bonding. I'm looking after you. I'll look after your back. I'm your family. Today, you see, most of them when they talk, yeah, they've lost something growing up. So this is what the society will change, because when their mental state start deviating, they become rebellious. There's a level it will reach. It is very hard to turn
To
back,
curtail. Yeah.
to curtail whatever they've gone into, because they'll take it back to the society.
Okay, let's take a few messages now while we take a little shift and come back to discuss about violence against women. Because the truth is, yes, we know men have very major role to play in the lives of their children, but you know, the bonding is stronger with the mothers, you know, when it comes from conception, to childbearing, baby feeding, breastfeeding, and all that. There's usually this bonding that nature and God has given to mothers to have that thing with them. So if we're looking at violence against women as well, we people are also not seeing it that it's a replica or a rippling effect on the children, because in a home front or a platform where women are also not put on a comfortable terrestrial to function, it also means that um, the people who they give care to, like the children or babies, will also suffer, so to say. Just like in the medical palace, where they say if a woman is not nourished enough, there's no way she's going to, breastfeed or give healthy living to her baby and all that. So we will come back, doctor, and look at what are the issues, and challenges that comes with violence against women. But let's take a few messages here. This one is from Aisha Tijani. It says, we need to work together. Yes, Aisha, we need to always work together as one, because to solve issues of child abuse and gender-based violence, everyone is a collective effort. A very long one here, and if doctor could help us read this one from Matthias Idris, would like you to read this, and if possible, you comment as well.
Violence against women and children rob them of their dignity and self-esteem. This is true. I think creating an awareness on this violence will really go a long way in helping to stop the violence. This is fantastic, and that's what we are doing.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Matthias, for that message there. I'll take quickly the ones here on the other line, and then I'll come back to you to get your response on violence against women. And in case you just joined us, we're looking at violence against women and children. We particularly delved deeply into the first part where Dr. Stephen Okorochukwu just talked about the nitty-gritty on how abuses could come up, because sometimes victims don't also know when they are, abused and all that. It could be the norm. Society, or African society particularly, just feels that now when you beat Peking well, when you beat them well, it will reset in brain. And then we don't know that they end up becoming bullies in school and end up becoming adults who also give trouble to the society. So I'll quickly read some messages here, and then we'll come back to my guest and talk more. Like I always say, please don't forget to like our social media handles. It's Shagalinku TV, both on Twitter, on Instagram, on YouTube, and on Facebook. And then get all our updates and join us in our conversations. Okay, one quick one here. This is from Omalicha Slim, and it says, nice topic. Thank you very much, Omalicha. I'll quickly read some messages here, and Doc will come back to you. Okay, I've read the one from Aisha Tijani, but the second one here, she says, Ambassador Gabari, well done. We need to appreciate you very much, and thank you for that, Aisha Tijani. Then I got another one from Abdurrahman Abdu. It says, demarcating and decisive implementation of the child rights law will help. And then from Mubarak Afeko, all the way from Casablanca in Morocco, says, with much success, Your Excellency. I got this one from Bryce in Cameroon, and it says, hello, Ambassador. Thank you very much for the great job you're doing. And Chief Ogbenyalu Udala Okoye, all the way from Dublin in Ireland, says, awesome topic. Thank you very much, Ma. Okay, Chief, let's come back to, I like how you've been able to break down the child abuse and all the factors that come in there. Let's look at violence against women. What do you think about that, sir?
Quickly, let me comment about somebody said we need to increase awareness on this. That's what Children and Adult Abuse Protection Network is doing. And I would like everybody who is interested to join us, because it's something we have to do united with purpose to stamp this out of our society. While we are doing it, we also educate our family, parents, fathers and mothers, to start training the future leaders very well. When I mean the future leaders, it's both boys and girls. Let them accept what is the norm. Let them accept gender equality. Because when we say you cannot be preaching gender equality and preaching against gender-based violence, when you come to the house, we have boys and girls. The girls will be in the kitchen while the boy is
Okay.
in the parlor or the living room watching
Watching football
television
with daddy. Yeah.
with daddy stretching leg. So when you are going to the kitchen, take the boys and girls at the same time. Let them do whatever you are doing in the kitchen. You are mopping the floor, let the boys and girls join in mopping the floor. Are you
True.
washing the clothes? Let the boys and girls join in washing the clothes. That's a one. Then another quick one is that when we talk about sexual abuse, in most homes, mothers and fathers are involved in sexual abuse without knowing. It is wrong for a mother to dress up naked in front of her son, no matter the age. If you are dressing up in front of your son, no matter the age, exposing your son to see your nakedness is a sexual abuse. Same thing goes with the father. You cannot dress up naked before your daughters, no matter the
True.
age. It's a
True.
sexual abuse. And also, your daughters, you cannot enter their room without notification.
Knocking. Yeah.
You must knock on the door. Some men get it right. Yeah, it's your house, it's your daughter. You are not supposed to see her nakedness. Let
True.
it be known to your daughter that a man is not supposed to see her nakedness until she comes of age. That's it. We can take
True.
on the violence
Okay.
against women.
Okay, so yes, thank you very much, Doc, on that one. And you mentioned something, though I'm not taking you back, but then you mentioned something very important as one of the symptoms to show that when a child is abused, something he or she will be exhibiting, and that's the bedwetting aspect. Because a lot of times in Africa, we just see bedwetting as something fetish, something devilish. Sometimes they beat the children and they bring them in front of the compound or something, and the other children start clapping and humiliating that child. Sometimes, in some rural areas, you'll be shocked to see that some people think it has to do with witchcraft and all that. So many issues, but I know it's a whole lot of topic that maybe someday we might have to bring you back to talk about this, because you find that they, instead of trying to seek medical help for the children, parents resort to beating these children every time, and then they keep going on to still bedwet and bedwet all over again. So I really like that angle, and I think for everyone watching, or parents who are also watching, that's an angle you need to take up medically with your children if they are bedwetting. But anyway, let's come to gender-based violence. I'm not going to be asking you what is gender-based violence and all that, but I need to ask you a quick one here. Why do women still stay put in relationships, in places and platforms where they are still violated all the time, and they keep saying, I dey stay because of my pikin, or if I leave, I no go get money? Time they realize, it becomes too late. Either they die, or they lose an arm or an eye or something. What is it that is always keeping women in violent relationships, sir?
Um, Violence against women and why do they stay in the relationship? A lot of factors. If you look at, especially in Africa, if you look at our tradition, our culture, it has been built up in that a man is never wrong. It has been made in a way that a man is never wrong, which is a fallacy. Society has programmed it, wired that if anything happens in a marriage, it is caused by
The woman
the
didn't
woman.
behave well.
The marriage breaks down is the woman. The child did not do well is the woman. This one happens is the wife. It's a total rubbish. It's a fallacy. Anybody can be wrong. So the high time first thing, the women should start changing the orientation, and the world, especially in Africa, the world has moved on. We should know that if the family, if a marriage is successful today, it's the effort of the man and woman.
True.
If it goes wrong, it's both of them that caused it. They should find out
True.
what went wrong. Then, in the case of women staying put, a high number of marriages has experienced violence and abuse. And this is a part of society that when you say even men and women, men are expressing abuse too, violence against men. It's a part of society that everybody wants to claim is strong. You see a sick man in Africa and say, "How are you?" He say, "I'm fine." Meanwhile, the man is dying. And they can't pay. But it's dying. We have this self-denial of our condition. It's totally wrong. It's self-denial. It's another factor. Another factor again, secondly, is empowerment. Most of the women in Africa are not empowered, except the latest generation that decide to empower themselves. You know, you must agree with me that before now, most of the family doesn't train their female children.
Female children, yeah.
But now every family is start changing. Anytime a woman is empowered, the woman will be in a position. Empowerment is not that only that empowered financially.
Yeah.
Empowered by knowledge, to know that it's my right to choose the religion to worship. It's my right to decide the type of food I'm going to eat. It's my right to work or not to work. If a woman knows that nobody can dictate, because no wife is a slave. At times, some people marry their wife, they say, "I don't want my wife to work." You don't want your wife to work, but you are working. True. It's a slave, friends. Don't understand me? There's a limit that they dictate to adults. So the high time the women get orientated that they have equal rights to decide their future, to decide what they want to be. Time has gone where you say, "Okay, because I'm their wife, stay at home, don't go out." No. The more the woman works, the more they get empowered, the more the children gets empowered. So most time what they cannot leave is because if they leave, where are they going to stay? They don't have the financial powers to take care of themselves. But the person has to choose. I tell anybody that anytime a woman feels that her life is in danger or being threatened, it's only a tree that will stay when it's about being cut. If you know your life is in danger, what are you doing there to do? Is it when you die, you take care of the children? It's good for the child to have a mother who is staying 10,000 miles away. And say, "Oh, my mother is still alive."
Than a dead one.
And a dead mother who is staying 6 feet below. So you have to choose for your children. Should they have a mother who is 6 feet below the ground, or a mother who is 10,000 kilometers away from them? Which one will a child prefer? A child prefer to have a mother who is alive, and one day will come back, or will go and meet the mother. So I don't subscribe the idea that I'm staying there for my children and you are dying. Because most of this violence occurs to an extent that one day you see, either the man kills the woman or the woman kills the man.
Sure.
So, and it's that time our men, although most time it might happen spontaneously based on anger control, it's time the men and women are working on their how to control their temper.
Yeah.
It's very, very important. I told you about physical abuse. Is when they beat, most time the women suffers physical abuse. Most time the men suffers emotional abuse. Because, women talks. They don't have to talk. And there's a man who talk. The man cannot contain himself. It will explode. So all the men should work on their temper. You have no right to beat anybody. Even your child, not to talk of your wife. It's totally wrong. It's totally wrong.
Oh. Okay, let's look at some of the activities that CAPEN has been doing and what the group hopes to achieve more. Because, excuse me, like one of our viewers here, Aisha Tijani, that wrote something that we will always need collaboration. So, what is CAPEN doing? Are there hope for collaborations and partnerships with other NGOs and other bodies to make sure that they reach out to more people in the grassroots and all that, sir?
Of course, that's why I'm talking. Well, that is why it is named Network, Child and Adult Abuse Protection Network. We are out for collaboration and partnership with all organizations that have a similar aim and objective. And with that, we can easily reach out to every part of Africa, not only Nigeria. You know, recently we rescued a child from Lagos, a child that was run away from the mother. The madam is a house help, and the woman was beating her with iron, metal iron, sharp iron. She had injuries all over her body. She ran away, and as God will have it, the Good Samaritans saw her and called the network. We have members in Lagos, we have in Abuja, Kano, all parts of the country. We want to have members in every local government of the country, so that most of these children, when we get them, if they mention their local government, will locate where it is. So that child have been reunited with the mother, and by next week, CapN is trying to empower the mother, because the mother is a fiscally challenged, who has 9 children, all of them given away. Even the mother is not aware where that child was, who is living with her daughter. It's as bad as that. So CapN was able to rescue these children, reunite them with their parents, their mother, and also we go into empowerment of the woman, so that the woman can put food on the tables. Many people have indicated interest to take over their education. That's another thing. They come to the villages and pick up these children and promise education. They will never send them to school. So we've been on air several times, like what we are doing today. I thank God for Shagalenko. Let us spread the news. Let us collaborate. It is our fight. If we don't get it right on the family level, we cannot get Nigeria right. Because most of the crimes committed, if you go to the prison, go police station to profile all these suspects, you find out that most of them are coming from the streets. And how did they end up in the streets? Separated families, diverse families, broken homes. Even the ones that comes where the mother and father is still there, there's a case of abandonment. You talk of drug addicts. Where is it coming from? From big homes, rich homes. Because of abandonment, there's no bonding between the parents and the children. You can never discuss with their child. In fact, one of them I was asking, he said the mother and the father doesn't have time for them. You see, these children need love. If you come back from work, make sure no matter. When I was young, I can stay out hanging out with my friends till late in the night. But when my children start coming up, by 5 p.m. or 6 p.m., I must be at home. I need to hug them. Hug the children, they feel it. When you feel their spirit when you hug them, they'll communicate to you. Even when they're not happy, you know. When they're happy, you know. When you have made them happy, you know. You can easily communicate and feel their problems. And reassure them they're great. Reassure them they will never be bad. Reassure them they will do good in school. That you stand in for them. They want that happiness, but most parents are not doing it. There are parents that have not hugged their children for the past 5 years. They don't even know what they want. They don't even know what they need. Because when you fail to bring them closer to them, they get closer to the wrong people.
True.
They get closer to the wrong. The same thing with the girls. Let your girls be your best friend. Let them. One time I was consulting, one came to me, he has a problem. I said, tell your mother. I said, no. The girl told me, I don't know my mother. I said, I'm not staying with your mother. I said, no, I'm staying with my mother, but I don't know her. Imagine.
Wow.
Was talking that I don't know my mother. I can't communicate to her. Everything is not beating, shouting. Tell them their own experience. Tell them their own story. They take you as a friend. You
When you
become their
sit down with them and talk, yeah.
Yeah, you become their pally. And when you become their pally, they reveal a lot of things to you. When they reveal a lot of things to you, you cannot tell them what is wrong and what is right.
True.
The same thing with most of the areas you find violence in a family, like violence against women, there's no communication between the man and the woman. You see, when you marry a wife, it's not issue of master
slave issue. Yeah.
arrangement. You people have become equal. That person have been, even if you marry a girl of 20 years and you are 40 years, automatically that girl has become 40 years. It's your equal. Talk to her as if you are talking to your friend, your contemporary.
Yeah.
Answer every question. Before your wife will ask you any question, there's a reason behind that question. Answer it to the best of your knowledge and answer it calmly. Let her know she's not there as a slave. Because when you reduce somebody's self-esteem, what makes a man or a woman is self-esteem. By the time you reduce somebody's self-esteem, you are turning that person to a beast. Exalt, praise the person. The person will come out happy and will be able to share with you. If you go a point that neither the spouses are talking, there must be violence. Because anytime they meet, there must be spark. But when you people talk jokingly, always understand and communicate, there will be reason for this violence. And anytime, what we are doing is that we have created a hotline. Any neighbor that sees any woman, any man beating the wife or the wife beating the man, call us. The person will get arrested. We'll call in the police. The police has come in. You have no right to beat any of their spouse. Okay. If you want to be a boxer, go to the sports council.
Go to the ring. Wow. Thank you very much. I wish we could go on and on and on, but this is how much we can get for today's episode. Maybe when we'll bring you back again to do a part 2, we will also enjoin that you get some of the CAP network members so that they can also join in the conversation with you, and then we'll talk more about some of the things. But so wrapping up now, who would you like to send maybe your greetings to and your felicitations to, sir, as we wrap up, sir?
Yes, I want to appreciate Shago Linku TV for this great opportunity. Our listeners, our audience, I'm grateful. People that want to partner with us can get across to Shago Linku. We are ready to partner with you. We are ready to work with you so that we can rescue these children. Many of them are living in bondage. The earlier we do that, the better. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, sir. And so thanks to everyone who joined us. This is the size of the program. You can also reach them on Facebook and I think on other social media, but it will be coming your way. So just search for CAAPN and it will be there. But we will also, as the program goes on our social media, we will be putting their links there so that you can reach Dr. and others who are in that group as well. And this is also saying thank you to Chief Ugbenyalo all the way from Dublin, Ireland, and to all members of CAP Network. Thank you all for joining us, and everyone who joined us today, we really thank you. Till on Saturday, we'll be here to do a fresh edition of the program. My name is Ambassador Emmanuel Gabari, and this is urging you to stay blessed and enjoy the rest of the day, and hope to see you all on Saturday, God willing. And thanks once again to my guest, Dr. Sifine Okorochukwu. And don't forget to also go to our YouTube page, like the page, and also click on the notification button. So when you subscribe, you click on the notification button so that subsequently when we're on air, it will alert you. And then for our YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, it's at Shagalinku TV. This video will be uploaded shortly after this interview. So for all our viewers whose time region or country region is different from ours, can watch it even 6 hours later and thereabout. Keep your conversations coming. Doctor will be answering them even on the comment section as even after this show and all that. So once again, my name is Ambassador Emmanuel Gabari, and saying thank you all for being there for us. Till we see you on Saturday. God bless you all, and bye-bye.